All right, hi everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, which is about how sales and marketing can work together to deliver more and better leads. So I am Christina Stetter. I'm the EVP here at Trivera, and today we are being joined by me, Jamie Reinhardt, and Jen Elias. So I will let them both introduce themselves. Jamie, why don't you go first?
Sure. I'm Jamie Reinhardt. I am the Senior Business Development, VP of Business Development for Trivera. There we go. I've been leading advertising and marketing sales teams for the last 15 years, and I've been exclusively digital the last 5 years with Trivera.
Perfect. And how about you, Jen?
I'm Jen Elias. I'm the front-end developer and designer at Trivera. I've been with them for 2 years, but I've been in the web marketing industry for about 20 years.
Perfect. Alrighty, so what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a presentation. Before we get started, I do want to mention, obviously, since we're doing this via Zoom and the entire world is Zooming, hopefully we will not have any bandwidth issues. If we do, we will just power through them as well as we can. The other thing I do want to mention is that down at the bottom of your screen, there is a panel called Q&A. If you click on that, you can submit a question. We'll check it at the end and answer any questions that anyone has. There is a chat panel, but we'd rather do the questions at the end. It'll make it a lot easier for us to stay on track and make sure that we don't forget anything. But we're happy to answer any questions that you have. The other thing that I do want to mention is this video will be posted to Trivera.com on the resources page and also on YouTube. So be sure to check it out there if you want to go back and look at anything that we've shown you. All right, so let's get started. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to start out, I'm going to take just about 2 minutes to talk about Trivera as a company, just so you know who we are and what we do. Then we're going to talk about the current state of sales and marketing and some of the challenges that both teams are facing so that you can understand why this approach works. Then we'll talk about a 6-step process that helps bring sales and marketing together. We'll talk about what would come next, and then we'll do the Q&A at the end. Alrighty, so this is Trivera. We started in 1996 as a company actually called Website Solutions. Back then, all we did was build websites, obviously. There really was no such thing as digital marketing, and so the company would build a website. It'd be your website. Most people thought they would never, ever have to update it for as long as they lived, which obviously is not the case anymore, and then move on to another website. Now we are a full-service digital marketing agency, and we really work hard to combine marketing creativity with smart and data-driven designs, and then back it up with a really high level of technological expertise. So we try to be more creative than a traditional web developer and more data-driven than a traditional agency. Over the years, we've done business with some of the most recognizable brands in the area. You can see some of them on the screen here. We also do business with a lot of brands you might not have heard of, and that's because they're in a very specialized industry, maybe, or something you don't touch. A lot of these clients have been with us for almost our entire 20-year history. So we're really proud of the relationships that we have developed and the length of them. And some of these people have come to us because they had an existing website that needed updating. And some of them have an existing website, and we just work with what they've got and help it work better. So if you are in a position where people don't understand the difference between you and your competitors, or they can't find your website, that's where we can help. One of the other things that you should know about Trivera, and you'll see this when we talk a lot about search engine optimization or content generation, is that we are a certified Google partner. So what that means is we have to demonstrate a certain level of expertise with Google's products. We have to do a certain amount of business with Google's products, and we have to get a certain amount of results from their products. So we can't just know about things, we actually have to use them and implement them and generate results for clients. Alrighty, so that's it about Trivera. We tried to keep that short and sweet and relatively painless. I'm going to turn it over to Jamie, who will start to talk about the current state of sales and marketing.
All right, yeah, let's start digging into the current state of sales and marketing, some sales and marketing pain points, challenges, and some opportunities that we can look at. Let's face it, prospecting is harder today. Buyers are much more prepared when they walk into a meeting, which is a good thing. Buyers know more and expect a more sophisticated sale and a strategic advice based on their situation, which means sales teams need to have more research done before the meeting as well. By the time teams get to a meeting, buyers expect a high level of knowledge about their specific situation. With more ways to communicate and present with potential customers, competition is literally global right now. Finding prospects, getting appointments, and developing strong leads and lead quality are huge pain points for sales as well. Back in the day, you used to, you bought a list, you sent some letters, you made a call, you followed up with another phone call, and then you got a meeting and away you went. Now there is just so many ways to prospect. It's become difficult to sift through all the information, from social media, which doesn't really work if you don't pay for it with advertising. Email with all of its laws and regulations. There's a crazy amount of online research you can do to prospect. More sometimes isn't always better, especially without a sales strategy to back up all these prospecting tactics. All of this while trying to get good quality leads. Sales teams are simultaneously trying to keep up with the latest trends in selling and how to use all of that prospecting data that we're uncovering on the internet. In other words, the pain is real for sales teams. And then throw this on top of it, a global pandemic, which limits or restricts some of the most common ways of meeting and communicating with our customers. Reduced travel, trade shows, cold calls, budgets, and less inventory to sell are all things that have made sales teams' jobs more difficult. An increased sales cycle, longer decision-making timeframes has made the typical sale just take longer. The good news is there's a thirst out there for helpful relationship-based partnerships, and that's something that your sales team, my sales team, has control over. Focusing on partnerships and having a solution-based sales approach is going to help you stand out, even during a pandemic. Now let's dig into how sales meetings in general have changed during the pandemic and probably forever. What used to be done in meetings over coffee is happening online and digitally. A good example of this is Zoom. In December of 2019, they had 10 million daily meeting participants. Now, April 2020, they had 300 million daily participants. If you were counting on trade shows or in-person meetings, that disappeared literally overnight. Even our daily lives have changed. Online grocery shopping is up over 100%. I know I love getting my groceries just delivered to my doorstep instead of going there. That's pretty great. Most stores were not prepared for this shift. It's not that things changed, it's how fast they changed during the pandemic and if they'll ever change back. Where people are investing leads me to believe that things will never be quite the same. According to a senior economist at Maybank Securities, the shift online has been a crucial safety net for the collapsing world economy, which will change how we study, work in our case, and play even when the virus passes. In other words, I think many of the radical shifts in the work we're experiencing aren't passing trends. They're merely the front runners of the digital economy. Currently, there's over 11.5 trillion, yep, that's trillion, dollars in investments. That's a lot of money invested in the digital economy. A lot of smart people are putting their money in the digital technology. Investors are betting trillions on the shift to more work being done online. So this trend is basically here to stay.
All right, so let's talk about some common pain points that marketing are experiencing. There's three challenges, basically. The first one is a website challenge related to generating quality traffic and converting them to produce sales leads that are valuable to the sales team. The second one is related to the collection and use of data. And the third is related to a perception challenge related to what marketing is giving to sales and what it actually means. So let's explore these three things a little more in depth. First, the website challenge. According to HubSpot, 61% of marketers report that generating traffic and leads is a top challenge. There's a really simple reason for that, and the reason is Google. It used to be that you would do a search on Google and you would get 10 links, all blue, You would choose a website and you would visit that website in order to get the answer to your question. That's not how it works anymore. Think about your own experiences. If you ask a relatively simple question, Google will use something called a SERP feature to show you the answer right on the results page. There is no reason now for you to visit a website anymore. And because of that, 50% of searches result in no clicks to any website. So that's hard for marketers. The other thing is changing buyer habits. A Gartner stat shows that 50% of a buyer's time is spent doing self-directed research. And Google backs that stat up by telling us that most people conduct 8 to 12 searches, both in B2B and B2C, before they are willing to tell a company who they are. So customers are working their way down the sales funnel, and businesses need to find out who they are as they are doing the self-directed research so that they can provide them with the information that they need. So this is true across all industries and across both B2B and B2C. The second challenge is related to the use of data collection and analysis. So the good news with digital marketing is that we can measure everything. That's wonderful, except for that sometimes it leads us to essentially drive down the road while looking out our rear view mirror instead of out the front windshield, because data is about what happened in the past, not what about what's going to happen. So think about right now with all this COVID stuff going on, we spend a lot of time looking at Google Trends, more so almost than looking at historical keyword research, because words are trending so quickly and the world is changing very fast right now. Think about what Jamie said about what's happening with Zoom. So you really have to balance looking backwards and projecting forwards. So data is super helpful. We absolutely believe in it, but you have to think forward, not just backwards. However, data can be really helpful if you're, say, a marketer who works for a company who maybe thinks that the sales come in a slightly different way than from what you can see they do. So one of the things that we did at Trivera a few years back was we analyzed where all of our new clients were coming from. And it was really informative to us and helped us change the way we market our own company. We do the same thing for all of our clients, and it's usually yields some surprising results. So it's important to look at your data to understand the sales funnel, because what people are looking for and the way they're finding you might not be what you actually think. The other thing that data can do is it can really help you understand your competition. Using digital customer intelligence, we can look at how people find your website, but we can also look at how people find your competitors' websites. We can see samples of their ads. We can monitor their online social media activity. So these exercises can really help you understand both your own position in the marketplace as well as your competitors. But you have to make sure that you're collecting the right data and that you're analyzing it in the right way. Otherwise, you can suffer from analysis paralysis. And then the third challenge is the perception challenge. So there's a misperception, I think, about how much online matters, as well as the expectation of customers. So Jamie talked about the differences in sales meetings right now and how people expect more consultative sales. And a lot of salespeople out there get that, but some don't. And they will turn to marketing for what I'll call a magic bullet. So they might want something that they think is going to generate a viral result. Well, you can't plan to be viral. You can plan to be good, but you can't plan to be viral. The other challenge is sometimes maybe management will say, I don't want to do this because of this viral result that they're thinking is going to happen. Like I said, you can plan to be good, but you can't plan to be viral. And gimmicks don't work anymore. Relationships work. You know, if you are getting someone who comes on your website, fills out a form and downloads something, they might not actually be ready to talk to sales. They might be still pretty far up in the sales funnel. So if your sales team is not engaging in an educational, consultative way with prospective customers, that can turn them off. Now, of course, you always want to be clever and smart and interesting, but relationships and problem solving are really the way to go, because although people respond to ads, in general, as a population, our trust level is much lower. So I'm not going to get into this too much, but what this shows is the results of a trust study from Nielsen that they've been doing. And they've been doing this trust study since 2001, as you can see. And every year, consumer trust shifts and changes just a little bit. But the bottom line really is that right now, we are very not trustworthy people. So we don't trust businesses. We don't trust the government. We don't trust advertisement. We don't trust CEOs. Basically, people only trust each other. And that makes marketing's job a lot harder, as well as sales jobs, because people don't trust companies. And so you have to make sure that you're building relationships with them, because people trust people. So when you see your customers as a person and they see you as a person, you're much more likely to develop trust.
Now here's something that we had pulled out. It's a Rain Group study, and it showed that sales teams have a desire to communicate better, increase productivity, organically grow their current business, and because landing a new deal is so difficult, increase repeat business. So these are the types of things that sales wants to do better. That is a lot to do better. But really the good news is partnering with marketing can help sales team reach or exceed their goals, hopefully exceed in my case. So let's talk about how to make that happen. Bringing it all together. This is it. This is where the magic happens. When sales and marketing come together, both departments benefit tremendously and work great. And so let's take a look at the process. This is an intro slide right here, but here are the 6 steps to get sales and marketing working together. It's developing buyer personas, determine sales goals, conduct a sales and marketing information swap, analyze your assets and content, create assets, and put it all together. So let's go through each of these steps individually now.
All right, so the first step is to develop buyer personas. It's important that you see your buyers as people with problems, not as visitors or prospects. And that's because people want to be solved to, not sold to. So what you're going to do is you're going to think about your buyer as a person. You're going to think about their demographic background. You're going to think about where do they get their information from? What are the channel preferences? Is it social media, television, radio, websites? Do they like to read? Do they like to listen? Do they like to watch? Think about those things. And you also want to think about their pain points, not just those directly related to your product, but think about other attitudes and the other things that are happening in their lives or at their jobs. So for example, a lot of times people will come to us at Trivera and say, people don't understand why we're better than our competition. We can help solve that problem. However, if the boss doesn't believe in marketing, we're not going to be able to help the marketing department as effectively as we could if the boss does believe in marketing. That's a problem. So for us, we know that our ideal client is someone where the organization itself believes in the power and the return on the investment in marketing. So you need to make sure that you understand not just everything about this person, but also what makes them a marketing qualified lead. What helps the sales team close these leads? So is it the business a certain size, or is it like Trivera where you need to have access to a particular decision maker? Personas can help you get out of your own way so that you're not talking about what you want to say. You are talking about what the other person needs to hear to solve their problem. Using personas, you can make sure that what you're going to do going forward is not about you, it's about them.
All right, step 2, is determining sales goals. Sales goals are part of the DNA of any great sales team, as we know, but surprisingly, many sales teams don't take the time to look mathematically at how they're going to obtain the goals. So you want to start by simply looking at your leads and contact form fillouts on a monthly basis and match that with your closing rate. By doing this, you're going to get a really good sense of if it's even possible for you to reach or exceed your goals. You might find that you're not getting enough leads in with your closing rate to actually reach a goal, which could be a problem. So if not, you're going to need to look at that pipeline and figure out how to get more leads and form fillouts to reach those goals. Step 3, you want to conduct a sales and marketing information swap. This is super important. I cannot stress this enough. sales teams need to be in constant communication with marketing. We really need to analyze where sales come from. Christina mentioned earlier, but we did this with Trivera a few years back, and we were surprised at the results. We knew kind of anecdotally where our sales came from, but when we wrote it down on a piece of paper and documented it, it really made us change our approach to marketing and sales communications. And so sales needs to be communicating to marketing what we hear on calls, what our customers' biggest frustrations are, what information prospects are asking for in the sales process, and is there an opportunity to add that to the website, make things a little smoother. It's important to show your marketing team the sales process as well, and give marketing a detailed understanding of how you do your job, because if they know how you do your job, they can help you. Here's some information I think marketing needs to know from sales team that can help both departments be better at their jobs, which is what we're all trying to do. What attracts buyers? Sales talks to customers literally every day. Remember to ask your customers why they chose you and communicate that over to marketing. Something could happen with that. What confuses buyers? How can you communicate better to improve your success? This helps us speed up the sales cycle and uncover potential gaps where marketing can help the communication process. What do you wish buyers knew or understood? This can be a great way to help generate some content for the marketing team and the marketing ideas. What's happening in that first meeting? If marketing knows this, they can help bridge the gap between marketing communications and the first meeting that you have. You want your buyers to come in understanding and knowing a lot of what you offer so that you can speed along the communication. How do you follow up with different types of prospects? Our sales team and many sales teams use a tiering system. We evaluate prospects regularly and communicate that with them based on what tier they're in, like a prospect, B prospect, or a C prospect. It's a lot of management that goes into that type of prospecting, but also leads to a lot of success. Moving prospects around in the CRM and making sure we communicate with them based off of the tier they're in is honestly, it's a lot of work. But if marketing understands that process, then they can help sales become way more efficient, which is what we're always looking to do through marketing automation and prospect scoring, lead scoring, and a lot of other really cool tools that they have at their disposal that the sales team might not even know if they don't talk. So your sales team can spend a lot more time doing what they do best, is selling actually.
And then from the marketing side, obviously, we need to communicate to the sales team some of the things that we can see that they might not know about. So for example, what keywords bring prospects to your site? A lot of times when we meet with new clients, we'll have the sales and management team say, these are the words that we use to describe what we do. And these are the words that we want to be found for on search engines. And when we go to do the research on those keywords, we'll discover there's not a lot of volume there. And the reason for it is that those are your words, or maybe those are very specific industry terms. But when someone is just starting their way down the sales funnel, they might not actually know those words. So we'll come back and we'll say, okay, that's great, but you also need to rank for these words. You also need to be found in searches for these things, because this is what people are calling their problem. You have a solution. We need to align those two things. So marketing can help sales understand how people learn about your products or your services. We can also help the sales team understand what topics visitors are interested in. So what blog posts do they read the most? Which videos get watched the most often? That can help the sales team understand what is the knowledge base that someone walks into a meeting with. What might they not know? And what do they know? We can also, as I mentioned, use digital competitive intelligence to understand what is attracting people to competitors' websites. This can help your sales team compete more effectively in a meeting so that they can market against your competition. And it's also really important to communicate with the sales team all the pieces that go into an integrated marketing campaign so that they understand what are all the components, how do they work together, how long does it take these things to work together, and how do you measure them? One of the mistakes we see a lot is we will be working with someone and we'll see somebody who has a big sales team, and each salesperson wants a one-off campaign that essentially does the same thing as what the other guy's one-off campaign does. It's really hard to figure out what's working if everybody is getting their own individualized campaigns that are being thrown together really quickly without the proper measurements built in. That's activity, but you can't measure the results. So it's really important to be thoughtful so that you can use data to make really good decisions, and the sales and marketing team can support each other as well as possible.
So here's the bonus step, 3.5. Fill in the blanks. Our audiences are blank, blank, and blank. They come to us because they are experiencing blank. You want to be able to fill those out when you're done with all this. And now that you know what problems your prospects are trying to solve.
So once you've agreed, and you and your sales team should agree on how to finish those sentences, then you can start to look at your assets and your content. So remember all the stuff we talked about with buyers wanting a consultative sale and doing a lot of online research. This is where the rubber hits the road. By having good assets that solve the problem that you just identified, you can show buyers that you understand them and their problems, and you are there to actively solve them. So you'll need to look at your sales materials, look at your website content, look at what you're posting to your social media channels. Do those things solve the buyer's problem, or are you really just trying to sell to them? You need to develop a relationship with people. Pretend it was something that you were doing in person. You wouldn't walk up to somebody and just immediately ask them to buy something from you. You would talk to them and try to understand their process. You need to do that same thing online. You can't just pitch. You need to actively work to solve problems. All right, so now once you've looked at your content, you need to see, is it working for you? Because it's not enough to just have content. People need to see it. And the best way to get the most qualified traffic to your website to generate the best prospects for you is to use search engine optimization. So you need to be writing to support your sales team, and you need to be writing to sell something, but you also need to write for search engine optimization. We're not going to go too much into depth on that here, but if you really want to learn how to write for SEO, we have another webinar on that. You can find it on the resources page at trivera.com or on our YouTube channel. And we explain how to think through that whole process. The other thing to think about is, does your content answer top of funnel queries or bottom of funnel queries? Remember how I talked about how people do 8 to 12 searches? They don't go straight from website visit to filling out a contact form in one visit. They're going to need to come back multiple times because they're going to learn more about how to solve their problem and how you fit into that solution during multiple visits. So you need content that answers some of those basic questions that's super easy to find on your website, but you also need content that answers the more detailed question that people ask when they really are starting to demonstrate that they want to buy something from you. They just have a few last questions. And that stuff should be further into the site. And with all the planning work that Jamie and I talked about, you should understand your sales funnel pretty well, so you know what people need to know at the top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. And then you need to see what is that really super valuable content that goes at the bottom of the funnel. It can't be surface level thinking. It needs to be valuable because you're going to ask someone to pay for it, not with money, but with their identity. So I'm going to give up my valuable information on your website to learn this thing. So what I get had better be worth it, because I'm not going to be happy with you if I download something and it's very basic content. But by doing that, I've now told you who I am, and I've made myself into a prospect for you. So if you don't have assets like this, assets at the top, middle, and bottom of your funnel, you need to create them. Now, that's a lot of work because you need a lot of them. You cannot just write one blog post or do one webinar or one video on something. You have to be consistent, and you have to do a lot of it. It is an ongoing, sustained effort to continually educate people. All right, so let's talk about what all of this results in.
That's the it results in the approach to aligning sales and marketing. Some people call it inbound marketing or lead nurturing. That's what we've all been talking about here for a while. Inbound marketing is really about delivering solutions and opportunities that have a positive impact on your business. So how do you do that? HubSpot, one of the leaders in the discipline, defines inbound marketing as, here we go, attracting, engaging, and delighting people to grow business that provides value and builds trust. As technology shifts, inbound guides an approach to doing business in a human and helpful way, which is great. And inbound is a better way to market, a better way to sell, and a better way to serve your customers. So it sounds like a win-win-win. It goes all the way from sales to marketing, from marketing to sales to customer service. So let's dig a little bit into engage, attract, and delight a little bit more. So attract strategies. Inbound marketing strategies that attract your target and buyer personas are tied to content creation and development, like Christina was talking about. To reach your audience, start by creating and publishing content, such as blogs, content offers, social media that provide value. It has to be valuable content. Examples include a guide to how to use your product, customer testimonials, details about promotions or discounts. Attract your audience members on a deeper level through inbound marketing. The best way to do that is optimizing all the content for SEO. So an SEO strategy will require you to target specific keywords and phrases related to your products or services, the challenges you solve for your customers, and the ways you help your target audience. This will allow your content and information to organically appear on the SERP pages, and for people who are searching for this information, also known as your target audience, or the right customers for your business. They're all going to find you. Engage. So we've attracted them. What next? Engaging strategies is when using inbound strategies to engage your audience and ensure you're communicating and dealing with leads and customers in a way that makes them want to build long-term relationships. At Trivera, we've had some 20-year relationships, and you have to really be engaged with your customers to do that. When using engagement strategies, inject information about the value of your business you will provide for them. Specific engagement strategies may include how you handle and manage inbound sales calls. So make sure your sales team has a strategy when calls come in. Focus customer service reps on how to handle calls for interested prospects or customers. Additionally, you want to be sure you're always solution selling like we talk about rather than the product selling. This will ensure deals will end in a mutually beneficial agreements for customers and your business, meaning you've provided value to your target customers and they want to keep coming back, which would be delighting them. Delighting inbound strategies ensure customers are happy, satisfied, and supported long after they make a purchase. These strategies involve your team members becoming advisors and experts who assist your customer at any point in time. Some ways that you can do that is incorporating thoughtful and timed out chatbots to assist and support. Request feedback from customers, via surveys is a great way to delight customers. Bots and surveys will be shared at specific points throughout the customer's journey to ensure that they make sense and are of value. Bots can be a great thing as long as you think about when the customer in their customer journey might need them. As sales and marketing and customer service teams continue to follow the process, businesses see accelerated growth, which is what we're all looking for as businesses. Happy customers, we want happy customers, we keep them for a long time, and long-term relationships. And then what we're all salespeople are always looking for, and marketing people and all businesses, referrals.
Okay, so let's talk about creating assets and how you can deliver them to your audience. Providing your audience with useful and relevant content will encourage users to give you their personal information. Useful assets include white papers, ebooks, infographics, blog posts, videos, Q&As, worksheets, calculators, and quizzes. You can deliver these assets to your qualified prospects through emails, call-out boxes, a resource section on your site, or landing pages. So let's start by talking about emails. When choosing an automation tool, you want one like HubSpot that will allow you to set up a variety of emails and then combine them in different ways. Your goal with every email is to generate a lead, which makes crafting a marketing email a more involved process than other emails you've written. When considering copy, the main message of your email should be consistent with your voice and stick to only one topic. It should be short and to the point, so potential customers are easily engaged and will want to buy what you are selling. When choosing images, they should be optimized for all devices and relevant to your message. Your callout should lead to a relevant offer and stand out from the rest of your email. Take a look at the examples provided. Image is clear, 50% off outdoor top sellers, which is engaging to me because I want outdoor pillows at 50% off. The call to action is shop now, which is eye-catching and clear as to where you need to click. The images are relevant to the message and are pleasing to the eye. This email is also responsive. 55% of the emails are opened on mobile devices. Therefore, your email should be optimized for phones as well as other devices. Most marketing automation tools will provide a responsive version, so make sure which one you choose has that option. Also consider personalization in your emails. Write every email like you're sending it to a friend. Be personable and address your reader in a familiar tone. If you can add their name, do it. People want to be seen as individuals. Personalized emails strengthen customer experiences by sending the right content to the right people at the right time. When considering your subject line, use clear, actionable, enticing language that is personalized and aligned to the body of the email. And lastly, timing. When is the best time to send an email? Based on a study that observed response rates of 20 million emails, Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time is the best day and time to send your email. However, that is not always true for all customers. Understanding your customer personas will determine the best time to send your emails. We used to have a client that sold boat parts, and after doing extensive research, we realized that sending out the emails on Sunday night resulted in higher open rates. Now let's talk about CTAs, or calls to action. They're part of a web page, an advertisement, or a piece of content that encourages the audience to do something. In marketing, CTAs help a business convert a visitor, a reader, into a lead for the sales team. CTAs can drive a variety of different actions depending on the content's goal. When designing CTAs, be sure to create one that visitors can't help but click on. A good call to action sends a clear message about the benefits people will act on eventually. Your images that are need to be visually pleasing and relevant. Keep your copy to a minimum and make sure it's clear where the user needs to click. Use button text that is engaging, like join us or try for free, rather than the typical click here or learn more. Design your CTA to match your landing page and overall branding. Users may become confused if they see a CTA and then they click on it and they end up on a landing page that doesn't look like the CTA or your branding, and they may abandon that page and not engage with it because they think they've gone to the wrong place. You can use your CTAs on home pages and blog posts and footers, or on sidebars of pages. We discourage you from using pop-ups as users find them invasive, and if they have a pop-up blocker installed on their browser, it will be completely missed. And then lastly, you need to consider A/B testing and dynamic content. Set up A/B tests to create 2 or more variations of your CTA, and test any variables from copy to design to destination links that will help you determine which version of the CTA performs the best. Then use dynamic content to display the best call to action based on your user's behavior. Another way to deliver assets to your potential customers is to create a resource section on your site. A resource page is a quick link area for customers to find information that you feel is relevant to their needs. You can organize blog posts, white papers, webinars, videos, and podcasts in one area of your site that will encourage users to engage with your content and ultimately fill out a form. Creating a resource page is good for SEO and user experience. It builds trust with your customers by showing that you are the expert on a given subject and presents them with assets to engage with you further. And lastly, we'll talk about landing pages. They're an essential way to deliver your assets to your customers. They are an effective means to give out sought after content in return for personal information. When crafting a landing page, use a benefit-focused headline and choose an image that illustrates the offer. Write compelling copy that guides your visitor to the desired action by knowing the customer's point of view. Make sure your page is responsive and the design matches the CTA links from. Include a simple form above the fold. Only ask for the information you absolutely need and have a clear and obvious call to action. Use engaging copy on your button that reinforces your offer, like join us or free trial, and remember to use a thank you page after submission. Using an actual page rather than a thank you disclaimer will engage your customer further. Think about adding related blogs and other relevant content you think your customers may benefit from on the thank you page. And the most important thing to remember when building out a landing page, don't make your potential customers work for the content you are offering.
Alrighty, so what happens now? You've created all of this content and you have all these assets, you have your landing pages, you have these emails. How do you put it all together? Well, the answer is you create workflows. So if you're not familiar with the workflow concept, a quick explanation is basically it sets up a series of automated emails that are sent to someone who is added to a list. There are a couple of ways that someone can be added to the list. One is the form fill out that we keep talking about. So you place an asset that has value, that is worth someone giving up their valuable identity for. And when they fill out the form, they are placed on this list, and then they begin to receive automated emails. Using an inbound program like HubSpot, you can send somebody an email that is based upon the action they took with the previous email. That's really important because let's say your final conversion point of the thing you really want someone to do is fill out a contact us form. You don't want to continue to send somebody emails asking them to do this if they've already done it. So using a program like HubSpot, it's smart and it knows whether or not the user has done that, and it can remove them from the workflow. The other way that people can be added to workflows is by doing it manually. So when Jamie mentioned tiering his prospects, he can take a group of prospects that maybe he lost but wants to stay in touch with and put them through a workflow that is designed specifically to maintain contact with them, but not with as many emails or in as, I don't want to say, an intrusive way. Obviously, you don't ever want to be intrusive. You want to be helpful, but you have to decide what is the cadence of the emails and what are they going to say. And that'll be different for someone that you're just trying to stay in touch with rather than someone that you're actively trying to get business with in the next few weeks or months. So the inbound workflow can really support sales using these email follow-ups. And the really cool thing about it is if you're using the concept where someone fills out a form in order to get the first asset and be placed on the list, that data now can take this person and go back and look and see what did they do before they filled out the form. Now, obviously, due to data privacy, we can't ever, before someone fills out a form and gives up their identity, tell you exactly what a single individual is doing on your website. That's invasive, it's not allowed, and it can't be done. But using a program like HubSpot, once someone has filled out the form, we can see what they did prior to the form fill out because they have willingly told you who they are. And so that's totally legal, absolutely fair, and the customer has willingly shared their data with you. So you have to build these workflows. Now, it's important to remember we talked about a lot of different assets today. So because there are so many assets, so many emails, so many variables, be sure when you build your workflows to do lots and lots of testing, because it also means there's a lot of opportunities for things to not work the way you expect them to. So be careful when you're building your workflows, think about your conversion points, and be sure to do lots of testing. All right, so the big question then is all this work worth it? We're talking about a lot of planning. We're talking about a lot of meetings between sales and marketing, developing personas, analyzing your content, creating a lot of new content, working with a developer to build all of these assets, building the workflows, investing in a platform like HubSpot. Well, the simple answer, honestly, is yes, it is worth it. So you can see here, these are just a few stats that I pulled, but companies that automate their lead nurturing can see a 10% increase in revenue within 6 to 9 months if you're doing it right. And that's because if you are using buyer persona-driven content, you can see a 45% increase in the volume of sales accepted leads. But you really do, we cannot emphasize this enough, need to think about your buyers as people, and you need to solve to them, not sell to them. But it is definitely worth this investment. It can make things a lot easier for you and your sales team. All right, so what is next, also known as what we didn't cover today? This is the stuff that we can't do on a global webinar because every company is different, and figuring these things out requires a one-on-one conversation. But if you're doing this on your own, Obviously, you will need to do topic research. So you'll need to determine what are the right content topics for you. And you'll do this using a combination of Google Analytics, Google Search Console work, keyword trends, and then if you have access to keyword research tools, you would use those as well. Also, workflow setup. It's not enough to just know how to build a workflow. You need to think through how often should these emails come? Which email should we send when? What is the cadence? Does an email or phone call happen on the same day? How much coordination needs to happen? So you have to think through how to follow up with your audiences. Sales and marketing really need to work closely together for this, and this is different for every company and every workflow. And then, of course, measurement. There is a lot that can be measured here, and it's really important to measure because if you don't, then you don't know what's working and what isn't. But every measurement is specific to the campaign and the client. So you have to think through what are you going to measure so that you're smart about it and you're measuring something that matters. And you have to think about that before you launch the campaign so you can get your tracking set up. So if you want to know more about a lot of these topics, please check out the resources page at Trivera.com. We have white papers. We have a lot of 10 to 15-minute videos that talk about a variety of digital marketing topics. We have webinars on advertising, and we also have one on writing for SEO. So there's a lot of information out there that we're happy to provide you with. Or you can go to our website and fill out our contact form. Send us a question. We are more than happy to talk with you and answer your questions. That's what we like to do. So let me check and see. It doesn't look like we had any Q&As submitted, which means we must have been perfectly clear for the last 45 minutes. So we love that. But if you think of something later, be sure to reach out to us. Be sure to join us for Tip Tuesday every week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified, or visit the resources page on Trivera.com. So thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Jen, for joining us today. And thank you,
Christina.
Yeah, oh, you're interrupting me. We got a question. What time on Tuesday? That's easy, noon. So very easy. We will be posting all of our videos right about noon, and then we usually post them also to our social channels. So just stay tuned and take a look for them there. Alrighty, now I'm really going to say goodbye. So thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Christina.
Yep, thanks, Jen. And thanks to everybody who showed up today to learn from us. We really appreciate all of you. Have a great day.
Bye.